Kicking off the month of April with a very active weather pattern. Good Tuesday evening, everyone. It's weather for Weather Geeks. We've got storms, we've got rain, maybe some wind, maybe some hail to talk about both in the short term and kind of the medium range as well. We're going to focus on the flooding threats here locally, but also what should be a pretty big severe weather episode across parts of the lower Great Lakes and Ohio Valley late on Wednesday and into Wednesday night. Now here locally, it started out kind of cloudy and gloomy this morning, kind of like yesterday ended, but as expected, the sun came out midday into the afternoon today. This time-lapse from our Canfield Fairgrounds camera shows the kind of greening up of the grass. If your yard is anything like mine, it's starting to get green pretty fast. It turned out to be a good-looking afternoon, although it was on the cool side for the first day of April. The first day of April, our average high is about 54, but we fell well short of that today, 43 this morning. Not as cold as the record low back in 1964. It was 14 degrees, and, digging back through the record books on April the 1st, we've had several accumulating snow episodes, if you will, on April the 1st. It's not that uncommon for us to have accumulating snow during the first few days of April. But climatologically speaking, here in the heart of meteorological spring, our average high goes from 54 today to a month from now, it's up to 67 degrees, on our way to 75 for that average high by the end of May, with the 4 confirmed tornadoes by the National Weather Service office in Wilmington. That covers southwest Ohio from Sunday's outbreak. Those are the first 4 tornadoes in Ohio so far this season. We're still trailing Pennsylvania. It's kind of the opposite of last year at this time. We had a lot of tornadic activity last spring, even early in the spring in the state of Ohio, and not so much in Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is still leading 7-4 right now. Look at these numbers, though, in the south. 77 tornado reports in Mississippi, 23 in Alabama, 100 tornado reports so far this year between those two states. That's what we call Dixie Alley. You think of traditional tornado alley out here. It's been very quiet in Oklahoma and Kansas. It's probably going to change tonight, but Dixie Alley up through the mid-Mississippi Valley and even parts of the Ohio Valley has been very, very active in terms of severe weather so far this year. In the meantime, we have low pressure, a dynamic system winding up here in parts of the middle of the country. It's snow on the northern side, but that red box, of course, a tornado watch, which covers parts of Kansas and a good chunk of Oklahoma, including Oklahoma City. Now, more notably, as this system comes east tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center, with their update at midday today, did introduce a level 4 moderate risk of severe weather right along the Ohio River Valley from Louisville down to Memphis, parts of the Mississippi Valley as well. It's a level 3 enhanced risk covering Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Dayton, over towards Toledo. Now, the slight risk, I should say, the level 2, does get as far east as technically Erie and Youngstown and down towards Zanesville, but as I'm going to show you, I do think the severe weather probabilities fall off pretty rapidly once you're east of I-77 and into far eastern Ohio, and certainly into western PA. Here's kind of what I made as far as a map goes for the severe weather risks, mostly late Wednesday and especially into Wednesday night. Very high risk of severe weather. I-75 in western Ohio, that vicinity. Once you're east of I-71 and especially east of I-77, east of Cleveland, east of Dover, New Philly, east of Akron, east of Zanesville, I think the severe weather chances diminish rapidly as this decaying complex of storms comes east overnight tomorrow night and first thing on Thursday morning. Now, going along with that level 4 moderate risk for severe weather tomorrow, pretty big area here with a big hatched area. That's those dashed black lines. That's what the Storm Prediction Center uses to denote high probabilities of strong tornadic activity. EF2 plus in strength is pretty likely in some of these tornadoes that probably do form. Western Ohio, and especially down towards Louisville and Memphis and Cape Girardeau and Paducah, places like that. The tornado risk elevated outside of that in a place like St. Louis and Chicago and over towards Columbus as well. But especially concerning is this area right through here. You don't see a big hatched area like that all that often put out by the Storm Prediction Center. Here's a look at one model depiction of future rotations. As far as updraft rotations, you'll notice as everything translates east late Wednesday night, things fall off in a hurry. The ingredients just aren't as good. The instability will be fairly lacking, even though there will be still a fair amount of wind shear. The instability not nearly as high in our part of Ohio and Pennsylvania as it is out to the west. So I think I'll be tracking a lot of tornadoes tomorrow evening into the overnight in western Ohio and into Indiana and Kentucky and all those places I just showed you. In the meantime, before all that tomorrow, late in the day and into tomorrow night, I do think we have a decent chance of seeing a few showers and storms around here. Now, these will probably be sub-severe, but as this moves through early in the afternoon Wednesday, we have a fair amount of wind shear already aloft, and while the lower atmosphere is pretty stable, we're going to be still in the 40s and lower 50s when these roll through. The instability aloft is decent, and combined with the wind shear, you might get some hailstones trying to fall out of these showers and storms right around early afternoon. I doubt they're real big, but there could be some small hail, certainly, involved in this activity. That's not going to last very long, though, in any one location. Showers and storms may be around for a little while early in the afternoon, but by late afternoon, evening, we're looking largely quiet. Then things really go crazy, of course. Let me back this up to late evening. This is, right around when, there'll be a lot of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings out in this vicinity late tomorrow evening. Detroit, down towards Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and Louisville, and eventually Cincinnati as well. Now, for us, as this comes east, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, Thursday morning, I still think this is fairly strong as it rolls through places like Cincinnati, Dayton, maybe even Columbus, and maybe even as far east as Cleveland. But then I think it's going to start running out of gas as we go towards 3, 4, 5 in the morning, Thursday morning. Now, they could be still kind of noisy, might be some bouts of heavy rain, and certainly some gusty winds. But severe wind gusts, large hail, a tornado threat, again, I'm just not real sold on that once you get east of I-77 in Ohio and certainly into western Pennsylvania. Now, the forecast gets tricky after that. I think, this cold front really doesn't cross the area until later in the day Thursday. Because of that, there may be a couple of showers, maybe even a thunderstorm that tries to reemerge during the afternoon, especially on Thursday before that cold front rolls through. Now, that front is not going to make it very far to our south before kind of stalling out late Thursday and into Thursday night, becoming kind of a stationary boundary. And this will be important because this is like laying down train tracks, and waves of moisture are going to want to ride along those train tracks at times as we go into Thursday night, Friday, parts of the weekend as well. We may get clipped by some rain Thursday night, heaviest of the rain probably to our south, but it may rain for a few hours, especially in our southern viewing area Thursday night, very early Friday morning. I suspect we see a break for a good chunk of the day Friday before this front may try to wiggle just far enough back to the north that we get back into a pretty good rain chance by Friday night and into Saturday morning as well, and more chances for rain in our forecast for the rest of the upcoming weekend. Now, all told, over the next 7 days, there's probably going to be some double-digit rainfall totals along the Mississippi River Valley, parts of the lower Ohio River Valley as well. Much like the severe weather threat being more significant to our south and west, the flooding threat will be overall more significant to our south and west as well. I think in our local TV viewing area, all told, by the end of the weekend, 3 to perhaps up to 4 inches of rain, pretty likely. Importantly, this isn't all coming at once. It'll come in a few different waves. But yeah, we could see a few inches of rain on average. This can be enough to cause area rivers to rise. This isn't a flash flooding situation where you're going to get a couple of inches of rain from one individual thunderstorm and areas of poor drainage have a lot of problems. This is more of an area-wide, especially river basin concern with this kind of rain coming over the coming days. And I kind of think the wettest periods will be Wednesday night as that line of decaying showers and storms moves through. Perhaps Thursday night for a time, but I'm more concerned about Friday night, Saturday morning, and again, Saturday night, those kind of periods being the overall kind of wettest with the highest chances of perhaps some localized downpours. So we've got a lot to keep track of in the coming days. I'll have you covered here on Weather for Weather Geeks. Make sure you're following me on all the social media outlets, our team as well, including the Storm Tracker 21 accounts, and we'll keep you updated on our traditional newscasts as well as the weather gets active over the next handful of days. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks on this Tuesday evening. I'll meet you back here on Wednesday.